All right, so React challenge intermediate. Reset password disables the files while processing. That's interesting. So what we got today here? We got a basic form with an input type email and then a button. And the idea is we are clicking, so by default, the button and the input should be enabled, I think. Yeah, should be enabled. So you can interact with you can enter your email address, you can click on the button, all good. As soon as you click on the button, simulate click, then we would like to disable the form. You know, that happens often, when you sign up into Netflix, when you click on the submit button, it's processing your request, so you cannot actually interact with the form anymore because the data is being sent to the backend. And then, that's the tricky part, after half a second, so we're simulating some sort of interaction, some sort of real interaction with the backend. After half a second, we want to enable the form again. Imagine that you are trying to sign up, but your email address was already taken because, for instance, you already signed up in the past and you didn't remember at all. So then the control goes back to the front end saying, please, this email has been already taken. Please change the email or sign in or whatever. All right, so I propose you something. Let's solve the problem using a stateful component, using a class, and then if you want, we can rebuild it using a hook. Tomorrow, Alex will talk about advanced hooks. So some of the stuff I would like to present today will be probably explained by him tomorrow. So, but first of all, constructor. You see, to be honest, at the moment, I don't even remember what the question was about, but I'm just preparing the exercise. State, not taste, state. So this is all submitting a form. So I would like to create a variable called isSubmitting. By default, we are not submitting the form, right? And then render method, and then return. Return what? Well, we got two inputs, right? We got label, not a label, sorry. We got input type email, I believe. And then we also got a button. What else? Button. The exercise doesn't care about the text on the button or anything like that. That's fine. So let's just, submit, something like that. It doesn't really matter. The test is not checking the content of the button. So definitely then we need an onClick event. And then that means I need another function called, for instance, submit. So that button will call this.submit. Submit. Something like that. Let me move things around a bit. Button on click submit. And now, so the thing is, the input fields, both the email and the button, will become disabled at some point. So in HTML, there is a disable property. So now with React, we can specify the condition. So the field will be disabled when? Oops, sorry. That's correct, Camila. This.state.isSubmitting. If it's submitting, then disable the input. And pretty much the same thing applies to the button. Disable is this.state.isSubmitting. If I don't want to type this.state.isSubmitting twice, can I create a variable here? Let isSubmitting equals what? Same thing, right? This.state.isSubmitting. Can I destructure that line? How? Equal what? Like that? Am I actually destructuring anything? I'm not destructuring anything. I'm just creating a reference to the state. So what type of data isSubmitting is at the moment? A what? A Boolean? No, it's not a Boolean.
Which one? In the state?
Here,
It's an object.
it's an object. You wouldn't want that. Yeah, we want to access the actual Boolean value. Remember, guys, to use the curly braces. Yeah, it's something fantastic. So now the code gets a bit simpler, easier to read. I hope you agree with me. Cool. So now all the responsibility is on the submit button. We essentially, first of all, we have to change the flag, the Boolean, from false to true. How do you change that value from false to true? Here. How do you update the state?
Negate, submitting, negate. No. This set state.
This dot set state.
Yeah, equals. No, not equals. Parenthesis. Object.
Guys, this is not about actually explaining every single character, colon, semicolon. It's about explaining, yeah? This dot set state is a function, right? So let's invoke the function. And what do we pass on the parentheses? What's the argument? The object, correct, with the new state. So what's the new key? What's the key we want to update? Correct, it's submitting. And what's the value? True, right? We want, first of all, when we click on the button, we want to mark the state as it's submitting statically. But now the tricky part is, after half a second, you see, await, do you remember? Await async. Okay, so we're going to wait here half a second, set timeout half a second, and after half a second, we want to tell the user something. Eh? We don't care about any messaging, we don't care about that. But essentially, after half a second, we want to change the state from is submitting true to is submitting false. So how do you do that? How do you wait half a second in JavaScript? Correct, set timeout. The first argument. What type of data is the first argument? Is it a string? Is it a function? Is it an array? Is it an object? What type of data is that? It's a function. What type of function? We learned that, I think, on Friday or on Thursday, maybe. What? It's an anonymous function, correct. But if you want to be precise, if you want to impress the employer, how would you refer to that function? Callback. But if you want to be more precise than that, it's a callback function, it's an anonymous function. Yes, I agree on all that.
Anonymous arrow function.
What else? Correct. Camila got the job. You didn't get the job, right? Higher order function that is passed as an argument. You remember that? If you tell, I mean, personally, I may not expect that. You shouldn't know that. The thing is, if you go to your interview and you said, this is a callback function, anonymous, blah, 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 it's a higher order function that we pass an argument. They will get very impressed. All right, so then second argument is how long we want to wait, half a second. Yeah? And after half a second, well, I mean, the only thing I want to do is just revert what they've done. Yeah? After half a second, pop, bring it back. I think that's it. Unless I've missed anything, I think that's pretty much it. So we try it. Let's have a look. Nice. Yeah? See, that works. Any questions? No? All right, I'm not going to use any hooks here. I think, that's pretty simple. Let me show you a trick, something new. So do you remember we've been dealing a lot with the on-click, the parentheses, that syntax, eh? So yes, let's recap a bit. Will it work if if instead of calling an arrow function that calls my function, will it work if I do that? Why not?
Yeah.
Will it work?
Yeah.
Right, Alex, you didn't get the job.
Well,
Why not?
is it going to do this?
Yes, we've explained that many times already, guys. Next week, we'll get deeper about how JavaScript deals with the lexical this. But for now, remember, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because if we do that, once we call, the function is called, so definitely we are running that piece of code. However, this is undefined. Because this is undefined dot whatever, set a state, throws an error, vomits an error. And that's why it doesn't work. That's why we need, where is my cursor? Here you go. Oh, hello, VS Code, where I am. That's a bit weird. Anyway, that's why I need to do that. So now JavaScript can deal with this, and it works. However, in modern JavaScript, and I'm not sure if this is actually part of the standard or not yet, but there's something coming. There is a way to solve the problem using that. There are 4 or 5 different techniques. To me, many of them are very weird. You may have seen some people typing that type of code. Don't bind it, you may have seen that on Google. Yeah? So that's definitely a way to solve the problem, but that feels a bit weird to me. There is a new way, which is converting the method, in this particular case submit. This is a class method. It's a method that belongs to this particular class. Convert it into a narrow function class method. Look, if instead of writing that syntax, I do that, then it works. It's a bit weird, but now that code should be okay. Here you go. Yeah? So just the alternative. Or use hooks. If you use hooks, problem solved. You don't need to care about that particular problem. Any questions, guys? No? So let me have a look to your code. So that was question number 4. Question 2. Oh, I've lost it. Hello? Huh? All right, let me refresh. So question number, try again. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Question number 3. And question number 4. That's it. That's it. So it didn't work for Anita. The idea was right. You see, she's done pretty much the same thing. State, disable false, disable, set a state. So she's doing pretty much the same approach. It didn't work. Yeah, few things. First of all, set timeout. Capital O. That's wrong. Yeah? Set timeout is big T, but timeout is a single word for JavaScript. And actually, I think that was the only issue, right? Everything else looks good to me. From a semantics point of view, well, also that's wrong, yeah? Button, she's using disable attribute twice. It sounds like a typo to me. But apart from that, and ignoring all the elegance issues, if I see someone writing this code like he or she is rushing, yeah, because the code is not consistent at all. And also one more thing, I against calling that method disable. Why disable? We're not disabling anything. Yes, for sure. First of all, we're disabling the fields, but after half a second, we're bringing them back. So disable sounds wrong from a semantics point of view. But yeah, but she was definitely really close to solve it. And then, so Camila, so she initialized a state, similar approach. She created an on-button click method inside of the render method, which doesn't sound very standard to me. And then on button click, no, so yeah, the thing is that's wrong, Camila. You cannot have a method like that inside of the render function. The method should be outside. That was the main issue. And all good for Kaini. Let's see if we can find anything weird here. No, I mean, that looks really good, kind to me. It looks really good. It's very clean. She called it submit. Submit makes sense because at least she's specifying the action. What's the action? Submit. Yeah. Any elegance warning for Kaini on the submit method? Correct. Missing a space here. Yeah. All these sort of things. Personally, I will invite you to use the structuring here to avoid typing this dot state dot. But yeah, it looks really good. So yeah, and it didn't work to floor it because nothing was actually written. Yeah? Cool. Any question about that particular problem? No? So tell me, what's next? What do you want me to review next? Which question? Which one?
The fifth one.
The fifth one? Okay. So the fifth one. Oh, good. That's a good one. Yeah, I like this. Password match. That's a good question. So we have a form with 2 inputs, 2 passwords. You know, that's a classic problem, yeah? You want to sign up in a platform, please enter your password. SexyBoy19. Enter it again, SexyBoy21. Yeah? Password don't match, so you cannot sign up. Yeah? That's pretty straightforward. Cool. So let's do something. Let's create a skeleton. So if the password match, then we should display a message in a label password match. If it don't match, let's display a label password don't match. So let me use hooks here. Function, what's the function name, guys? It's passwords match. Passwords match. And then, so I would like to create, return, just a couple of input fields, password fields. Can I create 2 input password fields like that? Password. So from a JSX, sorry about that, from a JSX point of view. Is that correct? Why not? Correct, we need a wrapper. Remember, when you create a React component, you always have to surround it with something. Could be a div, could be a label. However, if that any helps, there is a way to trick that a bit, which is by using a fragment. If you never heard of fragments, you can write a fragment like that. That's what we call an empty tag. It's not a div, it's not a label, it's not a span, it's not an input. It's an empty tag. So this is not valid in HTML. Yeah? If you create an app without React, that code won't work. So what's the advantage of using an empty tag? If you create a div, that will actually drop a div in your HTML. Yeah? That's a div. But if you create a fragment, nothing else will surround both inputs. Yeah? So you're saving one HTML tag. You may be thinking, what's the point of saving HTML tags? Well, many applications in the long term struggle to have a good performance because of all the numbers of divs on the screen. Yeah? I remember HSBC trading apps, they may have 3,000 divs running on the screen. That's a lot. Even here at Codery, you've seen that we are now adding animations. Some animations to change views, they run very smoothly, but others, they struggle. This is because of the number of divs on the screen. Yeah? So definitely, yeah, it's a good idea to minimize the number of unnecessary div elements on the screen. Cool, so we got our fragment.
Can I
Yeah.
give a class in a fragment? Like in a fragment, can I give a class?
A class, that's a good question. I don't think so. Because, once again, this is not going to exist. This is going to be removed. Yeah? Cool. So we got 2 passwords. However, you know, we need to differentiate them. So how can we differentiate them according to the exercise? Correct. That dot pwd means that that element has a class name pwd. So let's do that. Class name equals pwd, and if I'm correct, the other one is class name confirm pwd. Yep. Let me move these attributes to new lines because I got the feeling, I got the impression that then we need to deal with the onChange or onType or something like that. Yeah. Cool. We also need a label just to tell the user whether the passwords match or not. Yeah, we'll see what to put here. Because I'm using hooks, I need to initialize. I need a way to track changes on these fields. So, if you remember, to create a hook, we do something like that. The first argument is the variable, so let me call it password. And the second argument is the method to update that variable. So can you tell me a good variable name for the second element of the array? Correct, Camila, set password. And here, instead of the parentheses, we initialize our password. I don't know, by default, just an empty string, yeah? It would be weird to have some valid points, some dots or some stars on a password before typing anything. Let me copy that because I essentially need to do the same thing for the confirm password. Set confirm password. So now, to bind variables with inputs, we need to add a property called value. Value means if my default value is hello, my input, if I put here password, will have hello as default text. Even if it's an empty string, eventually we want to type something on it. So that's the value for the password, and likewise we need to add the value for the confirm password field. Yeah? And finally, we obviously want to change the password and we want to change the confirm password field. So we need to track changes. To track changes, how do you track changes on an input field, guys? Correct. onChange something. Do you remember, we talked about that last week, if I'm right, do you remember how to capture the value entered by the user on this input field? Event?
No, it's an arrow function with an E.
And then what? You got the event, that's right, or E if you want, depends, that doesn't really matter. You got the event with all the details. Okay, fine, I got the details including the text entered by the user. So how do I, first of all, how do I update the state? Which method do I need to invoke here?
You have to create a function for.
I can create a function, but can I do it without creating a new function?
Set password.
Correct. Set password. Yeah. I mean, I got the method here, right? And now the tricky question is, all right, what's the new password? Is it hello? What do I type here? How do you get the value out of the event? Let me show you on the left-hand side. That should give you a hint about how to do it. Target.e. That will blow up. Target is not defined. Cannot call property e of undefined. E.target. Correct. That's the event. E.target.value. Okay? That will give you the actual value entered by the user. So we essentially need to do, sorry about that, the same thing at the bottom. What's the difference? What do I need to change here? Correct. Set confirm password. Cool. And now on the label, we need to check if the passwords match or not. If they match, we will present the message. If they don't match, we will present a different message. So that's pretty easy. That's a piece of cake, guys. Password is a string. So if password is the same as confirmed password, then I don't know why the code keeps moving to the top. Yeah, but yes, essentially two strings. Yeah. So the first one will be passwords match, and the second one will be something like passwords do not match. You can't see anything mean either. So password, something like that. Let's have a look. Password do not match, and then, oh yeah, cool. That's it, right? Should we try that? Can you spot any issue, any mistake anywhere? No? All right, let's run it. Cool, works. You can see the exercise is fairly simple. Two inputs. On change, you update the hook. And then on the label, you check if the password and confirmed password match, then display something. If not, then display something else. Questions? So, what you've done here? Anita, it's pretty much the same thing. On her particular case, the default state is undefined. I'm not sure if I'm happy about that because we are playing with strings. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it works. And something she's doing better than me actually is using double quotes on the attributes. If you remember, because of historical reasons, I've been using single quotes. But according to Airbnb, you should use double quotes because that's the way, the recommended way in HTML. Yeah. So I buy that argument, it's better than mine. I don't buy the chaotic spacing strategy. Space on the right, not on the left, no spacing, no spacing, spacing in both sides. Yeah? To me, these details make a big difference. Because for instance, I'll tell you something. I have to admit I'm wrong. I mean, my strategy is not fully standard, but at least is consistently standard. So I prefer you to not to add spaces, for instance, or to add spaces more than necessary, but at least having a criteria. In this particular case, to me, there doesn't seem to be any criteria at all. Yeah, yeah, but all good apart from that. For Camila, you see she's initializing the password to an empty string. I like that. Yeah, I will invite Camila to break every attribute into a new line for readability purposes, because I think she typed password and the class name, but then to avoid getting a warning penalty, she moved the onChange one to a new line, yeah? But then onChange is not aligned with type and class name, yeah? So if you see here, it's much easier to follow the list of attributes. What else? I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Good time for one more, guys. So is there anyone in particular you want to review? No? Do you want me to review anything else? First one?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's do it. You want me to use class or hooks? Press me. That's pretty simple, right? So we got the button. I think we reviewed not exactly this one, but a very similar one last week. We got a button, so when we click on the button, we want to toggle a message. Button press, or no, not even toggle, right? All right, let me have a look. So button, press me, button. Okay, by default not press. When you click on the button already press. Okay, even easier. Hook or class? Class, okay, let's do it. So constructor, and then super, this.state is pressed false. By default, we haven't pressed the button. Render, so return, and then we have how many fields? 2, right? We've got a label and a button. I can create a div, or remember, I can use a fragment. Yeah. So let's have a button, and then let's have a label, I think. So, and then let's have a method button on click, and then we need to type something here, yeah? So on click, we need to change the state. Once again, we can create a method and call that method, or depending on the complexity of your algorithm, if it's as simple as, well, I don't know what's the best option here. So you can do that. This.setState is pressed true, yeah? So you can either do that, or if you prefer, as I said before, you can create a method on button click, something like that. Does it make sense? So now this.setState, what else?
Is pressed.
Correct. Is pressed true. The exercise doesn't say anything about toggling true, false, false, true. It's just, I mean, it makes sense, right? If you press the button 10 times, it's pressed. That's it, yeah? Cool. So, what else? Well, let's have a look to the details. So, first of all, look. The button, the text of the button should be press me, exclamation mark. All right, so let's do that. So button, press me, no problem at all. And then label, right? On the label, I'm sure we need to deal with some messaging. So button not pressed yet, or button already pressed, exclamation mark. So can anybody tell me how can I complete that piece of code? Flooring? This does stay dot? Rochelle doesn't seem very happy about that. Andrea?
I forgot, but it should be an arrow function.
Should be an arrow function.
Inside without this, but with this you have to use an arrow function. But I don't remember the part.
We don't need any arrow function, guys. It's much easier than that. We're going to check the state. This.state dot is pressed. Question mark, correct, Camila? And then if it's been pressed, so button already pressed, I think, something like that. If not, then button, hello, not pressed yet. Button already pressed, button not pressed yet. And hello, button already pressed, button not pressed yet. Yeah, something like that, yeah? Should be it. Let's have a look. Yeah. I mean, as you can see, the majority of these exercises are about the same. It's the same thing again, again, again. You got a button. So when you click on the button, you change the state. Yeah? It's pretty much the same. Let me show you once again the trick I showed you before. If you don't want to do that, this button click. Will it work like that? Remember that will probably create an infinite loop. Yes, because we will call the method. It will update the state. It will call the method again. Yeah. So that will close an infinite loop. Yeah, correct. That's what they've done before. Yeah. So if that's what we've done, fantastic. Or with the new technique, you can just save a reference to the function, and then you transform that function into an arrow one. Yeah, that's a new technique. Just be careful, because not every browser may be supporting that technique. Yeah? But in the long term, I don't know, I find it particularly interesting. Cool, anything else? No? So let me quickly review your code. That was question number 1, I believe, right? So let me scroll to the top. Let's see what you propose today. So you've got, first of all, Anita using state. Yeah, I like the readability. Clicked false. Yeah? Means you haven't clicked on the button. So then, the thing is, Anita is actually changing the exercise. Can anybody tell me what's the difference from a user experience point of view between Anita's approach and my personal approach?
So they every time.
Say it again?
Hers will update every time you click. Hers will update every time you click.
Will update every time.
Because she's got reverse to say.
Correct. So Anita is toggling true, false, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. You see? I'm not doing any of that. I just, once the value becomes true, then it remains true forever. Yeah, you cannot bring it back. We can discuss whether in which scenario that makes sense. If you drop an atomic bomb, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, for sure, there are use cases where you may not want to revert an action. But yeah, apart from that, it's all good, yeah? It's all good. I may complain a bit about the curly brace and break line strategy. So for instance, you see, she's opening a curly brace here. So you believe that the condition should be moved to a new line. And then likewise, you know, she's closing it, probably she should close here, yeah? So she opens the curly brace right after the label. So she should close it right before the closing label. But this is a subtle detail. For Camila, look, that's interesting. Camila has changed the approach. That's interesting. Rather than playing with a Boolean, she's just saving the message, the string, into the state. And that's interesting because when she presses the button, she just updates the message. So look, it's even simpler, you see? She doesn't even require any ternary. She just displays a message. Yeah? I like it. I like it. If we had to toggle, that approach may not work that well. Because if you need to toggle, you need to check the previous state. And comparing a Boolean is much easier than comparing a string. But because in this particular case, we just want to update the message, I like that, Camila. I think that's really good. However, breakline strategy is not fully perfect. Once again, you open parentheses and curly brace, it should be closed here in a new line. Yeah, that's the only thing. For Andrea is using a hook, which is very interesting, yeah? Because we can see different coding style. So, and that's pretty much following Camila style, yeah? So he's creating a default message. So when he clicks on the button, he updates the message. To me, that's probably the easiest solution possible. And that's really good. I really like it. It's super simple. Super, super simple. Cool. Guillaume. Back to the Boolean approach. Yeah? Back to the Boolean approach, false, then it changes back to true, and then displays a message. So can anybody tell me where are the two elegance warnings she got here? Kaini? I don't even know if you're even talking at all. Correct. True space. Yeah. And then what else? Correct. The extra empty line here. Yeah. Once again, guys, details. For Kaini, Guillaume style, yeah. Boolean true or false. Yeah. Perfect. It's literally perfect. Yeah. Empty line, unnecessary empty line here. But apart from that, it looks very clean, very readable. Looking after details, I really like it. I really like it. Why it didn't work for Octavia? Well, first of all, he's using the technique I told you not to use, right? And then on top of that, yeah, I mean, it's not even creating a label. Yeah, that's why it doesn't really using props. So he's clearly rephrasing the exercise. Cool. It's 11 a.m. guys, literally. So anything else? Any questions? No? Remember, next Monday we'll do the last React challenge. Yeah? Once again, if you don't manage to get 40 plus or intermediate, that's okay. You'll be more than invited to continue participating in March. Yeah? So it's not the end of the world. Don't worry about that. Anyway, it was a good challenge. I think I think 3 of you got the blue tick on React today, so I think the progress is clearly there. So well done, guys. Thank you.